I'm Jackie and welcome to yoga today. This class will focus on intrinsic core and pelvic floor. And you'll want a few props if you have them available at home, a block or two, and a blanket, which I'm sitting on currently. And as you're ready, go ahead and find a comfortable seat. Sits bones wide and a slight tilt forward of your pelvis, whether a blanket underneath your sits bones or not, little tilt forward, and see if you can reach your crown just over your center of your pelvic floor. And with soft gaze or eyes closed, take a few moments to settle deeply through your seat. And as you grow heavy down, descend through your sits bones and a slight forward tilt of your pelvis and the space right in between the pubic bone and your sits bones, centered with earth. Your crown hovering just above that center place through your pelvic floor and aligning your whole center of core, of torso, like a brilliant light line from earth to sky. Find a few rounds of breath to notice. Notice breath. Notice what you're feeling here and now. And as you notice your breath, contemplate intrinsic core and how that might support here and now. Your core being the very center of your whole body. And intrinsic, you can think of as essential or natural. So your natural and essential center. Can you bring your attention there? And notice. How might you offer a breath awareness to be of that center of your core? As you inhale, you can draw in. Feel your diaphragm right of center expand, and on your exhale from center, a settling, earthly, and even up and out all directions. Let your breath be an aliveness that can move towards your center core, and of core around whole body, lighting up your intrinsic network from core to periphery with your breath. A few more rounds of your breath to attend to. Whole body network participation with breath. Finish your next exhale completely. And you can lift your eyes open. If you're seated on a blanket, remove it off to the side so that you can feel your sits bones with your mat, with the ground. And you can switch up your legs if you like, easy seat here. And that same sort of sensation through the back of your sits bones, through the back of your pelvis, wide and connected with earth, and a slight tilt forward of your pubic bone so that the mid space between pubic bone and your sits bones is very kind of centered with the ground. And then maintain that as you find your crown, the very top of your head, hovering just over that centric piece part of your base of pelvis. And can you stay in this sort of alignment, earthly and skybound. And you're gonna rock even more so forward with your pelvis, and then rock back, coming back, draw your tail, tip of your tail forward, and then as you rock forward or lean forward, tip of your tail reaches back. And I want you to bring really good attention through the pelvic floor, posterior and anterior tilt of the pelvis, and connect it with your breath as tail tips forward. Exhale, inhale, tip your tail back, lift heart, and maintain some support through center as you explore a few breaths. Exhale back, inhale forward, and I want you to find a pace that serves you. So if you're someone that tends to go slower, you might invite a bit of a quicker pace. And if you're someone who likes and tends to move faster in life, invite a slower pace of breath with your pelvic tilt. Couple more rounds. All right, come back through center again, like you started, and keep some supportive center as you start to circle. And I want you to really find the circling through your seat more so than your crown. Of course, it's all connected, and that is part of our intrinsic network from core and this place of center of our beings, everything connected to that place. Keep going and switch directions and see if you can feel the sides, front, back of your pelvis, your pelvic bowl, the base. As you notice your breath, you might even find a rhythm of your breath in the circling, like inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So find a pace that serves you. A few more rounds of your breath. Good, just a little bit of awakening through our pelvic bowl. And make your way back through center. Have a block nearby and come onto your backs. So on your backs, find a spacious length through your spine and start with your knees bent here. And with your knees bent comfortably, feet on the ground, let your shoulders widen, arms can come out to the side. Take a few rounds of breath. Settle through your back body with earth, maybe even an exhale out your mouth. And take a few windshield wipers here. Knees left to right. Nothing too fast. Noticeable breath throughout. And come back through center. Heel toe your feet back to about hip width. And lift your feet and bend your knees in a 90-degree angle from hips, knees to feet. Flexed feet are good. And a practice of deep intrinsic core. I want you to plunge your belly back towards the floor and press through your low back, that beautiful curve of your lumbar spine, low back. Engage it to as if it wanted to flatten, or you're trying to flatten it towards the ground. And really turn on that deep intrinsic core here and keep your breath moving, and as best as you can without losing deep intrinsic core turned on. You're going to lightly tap your right toes down, keep the knee bent, and return right back to 90 degree and alternate toe taps. And we're going to go several rounds here. Noticeable breath, 90 degree, deep intrinsic core turned on throughout as you take several more rounds of toe taps. And notice here, as simple or easy as this might look, when we really go deep and bring our attention and support to core center. And this isn't core like six-pack abs or superficial. This is deep, intrinsic core, meaning essential core that holds all of us together. Our intrinsic network of our whole body connected to center, and your breath as prana that can help move through the pathways of your intrinsic network. Okay, a couple more rounds, toe taps. And the next time your left toes tap down, come back up, and with control, lower your feet and let your knees go wide. Soles of feet can come together or not, but you're on the outer edges of your feet with the ground, knees wide. Take a full round of breath. Out your mouth, exhale, soften, settle earth. All right, now a little bit of a psoas and intrinsic part of center work here. So you're gonna bring a little bit of space in between the soles of your feet, a couple inches or so. And the outer edges of your feet are with the ground. And turn on deep intrinsic core, nothing too forced, but bring some awareness and support there. And as you breathe and maintain core support, you're gonna super slowly butterfly your knees up towards the ceiling, and your feet will flatten. And then keep your feet where they are as you just as slowly butterfly your knees out wide. And again, you're maintaining some support of center. And I want you to do about 3 or so more very slow knees drawn up towards the ceiling and knees out wide. Noticeable breath. 2 more rounds. Make your way back, knees up towards the ceiling. Take your time. And once you're there, lengthen your legs long. And with long legs, find one of your blocks. And I want you to just let your elbows bend at the ground, and I want you to squeeze your block. If you lift your arms, that's okay too. But some engagement through your kind of upper core here. And then deep intrinsic core turned on. So I want you to plunge your belly down and like you're trying to flatten your low curve back lumbar towards the ground. And take an inhale here without letting go of the engagement. Keep it. And as you exhale, lift your right leg and keep breathing as you find 4 circles. Deep intrinsic core turned on as you circle your foot and then the other direction. And then take another inhale to lower, tone belly, plug back through your kidney space, and exhale, lift left leg and move through the exhale as you circle. Switch directions, 4 circles. And we're gonna do that a couple more times. So it's inhale, lower, turn deep intrinsic core on and maintain. As you exhale, slowly lift and keep exhaling as you circle a few rounds. And you might stay for another breath as you switch directions. And with your next inhale, lower, trot strong core. Keep that plugged in as you exhale, lift other leg, move through the exhale with a few circles. Keep squeezing your block. And one more time, each side at your pace. Squeeze your block. Notice your breath. Let your breath work with you here. come back down. Block off to the side. Hug your right knee in towards your chest. You can grab on to thigh or shin. Keep your bottom active leg, toes flexed. Maybe circle a little bit with your knee. And maybe a few ankle circles, noticeable breath. And second side. Active right bottom leg as you hug left knee to chest. And find a few breaths here as it feels good in your body, whether ankle roll, maybe a knee circle, maybe stillness with breath. And then with even, steady breath, on your next inhale, lengthen your left leg down, reach your arms back long, and on your exhale, hug right knee, chest. Inhale, long. Exhale, left knee, chest. Keep moving with a breath pace that serves you today. Exhale to hug, alternate knee in. Inhale, arms back, legs long. Couple more rounds side to side. And the next time your left knee hugs in, come back long, arms back, legs long, and clasp your hands underneath your head. Flex your feet, toes towards the sky, and make your legs strong, firm, muscle to bone from feet to pelvic core. Even your butt squeezes and turns on. And then deep intrinsic core. Can you hug belly button down towards the floor and low back kind of toning towards the ground, and hug your side waistline in towards one another as you squeeze your legs together. Keep breathing, and from strength of deep intrinsic core and legs, lift up through your heart. Keep your gaze up towards the ceiling for this variation of sunrise pose, and maintain your breath. Keep hugging midline, belly toned back, heart lifted up. One more full breath. And then lower down with control, unwind, and let yourself expand and settle earth for a round of breath. All right, next up, find your block again. And you're gonna return back to 90-degree bend of your knees above your hips. So hip to knee to ankle, 90-degree. And this time you're gonna reach your block above you, hands on the short end of the blocks, or of the block, and right above your shoulders and heart. And then squeeze the block, hug the head of your arm bones back, and deep intrinsic core turn on. Belly tones back, low back tones towards the floor. Now, maintain that, click your heels together, press your heels together, let your knees widen, and maintain deep intrinsic core. As you squeeze the block, bend your elbows, block towards your forehead, and lower your heels and feet towards the ground. And then with your exhale, you're gonna come back up, arms and feet. Inhale, bend elbows, feet down. Exhale, rise. And can you keep squeezing the block, maintaining your deep core turned on as the intrinsic network of your whole to be supported by center. Keep squeezing your heels, squeezing the block. Exhale is the rise. Inhale is the lower. Couple more rounds, big work here. And the next time you lift, lower your feet down as wide as your mat. Block off to the side, arms wide. Settle and soften here. Let your knees turn in, back of pelvis spacious and heavy with earth. Now, return again 90-degree legs. And this time you're going to bring a block in between your thighs. And I think I like the middle setting of spacious. This is just going to depend on how meaty or not your legs are. So a less block, skinny side, a mid, or a wide, so that you can hug and have your knees in line with kind of middle of your hips, your ASIS joints here. So 90-degree, arms out, palms up, squeeze the block, turn on deep intrinsic core. Breathe, slow and steady, and you're gonna rainbow off to your left. Keep squeezing the block, deep intrinsic core, as you rainbow back through center and off to your right. So a rainbow twist, maintaining secure center. Squeeze the block and breathe. Several rounds. Next time you move off to the left, can you go all the way? And you can adjust the block as you need. 90-degree twist here. Tone your navel towards your spine and lengthen sits bones, tail towards the one short end of your mat, crown towards the other. Broaden through your shoulders and feel your core alive, holding support for your whole body to expand and settle earth. Now with engagement of center, draw belly back, deep intrinsic core turned on, squeeze the block, rainbow over to the right, second side. And as you land, maintain support, awareness of center as you expand core to periphery. So a block can stay in between your legs. You can always bring a block underneath your bottom leg of the twist. And make your way back through center. Block can come off to the side here. And go ahead now and make your way onto your belly. And on your belly, come to a Sphinx pose here. So get long through your legs, tops of your thighs at the mat, and your forearms in front of you, elbows about shoulder width apart, slightly forward of you. Take a few rounds of breath. And settle, shoulders wide away from ears. Look down in between your hands. And then make your legs strong. You feel your kneecaps lift away from the ground. Your feet can be quite wide here. They don't need to be right close together. So you find what works for you. Strong legs from feet to your butt. Press through your pubic bone down into the ground. Tone your belly back. And then as you reach your tail towards your heels, can you slightly firm your elbows hugging back and lift up through the back of your skull, up through your crown. Nice broad shoulders, and feel some core engagement here. Take 2 full rounds of your breath. And then from here, you're gonna lower down, crocodile pose. Stack your hands in front of you for your forehead to rest. And in crocodile pose, I want you to be spacious with still your deep intrinsic core supported. So a little micro movement here is to kind of lift your front low ribs that are touching the ground up and turn them down towards your belly button and in towards center, and then rest with them slightly turned in, kind of like knitting together your core. And this brings more protection into this posture of crocodile pose, which can be wonderful for any sort of sacral discomfort or anxiety. And it really has this way of kind of decompressing your spine. So as you settle with earth, let yourself just expand all directions, long feet to crown, wide left and right, and spacious earth and sky. And notice your breath, several rounds here, crocodile pose with knitted core and whole intrinsic network of you alive with your breath. Feel the prana of your breath kind of move all throughout your whole body. One more full round of your breath. Let go, earth. And you can stay here and bend your knees and roll your ankles circularly both directions. And then together with your feet, reach them over to your left and circle back and around to your right. And a few sweeping circles of your feet. Noticeable breath. Switch directions a few rounds. All right, legs long, tuck your toes and come back up to Sphinx. So tucked toes this time, Sphinx, elbows as wide as shoulders. Bring some firmness through your foundation by hugging your forearms down and slightly back through your elbows, and then tone your belly. Use your knees to lift up through your pelvis, and then lift your knees off of the ground for forearm plank. So you can always bring your knees down here and still be doing some good work towards deep intrinsic core. And in order to really target that, I want you to hug your forearms down and towards one another midline, a slight drawing of your elbows back so your shoulders are hovering right over your elbows. With tucked toes, lift your heels high and tone your belly towards your spine as you reach your tail back and slight lift of your crown forward and up. Broad shoulders wide through your collarbones, steady with your breath. 2 more full rounds of breath. With care, lower your knees down wide, and you can sit back into child's pose here. Any arm variation to support you. Arms can go long, hands shoulder width. You can tuck your elbows in for your forehead to rest. You can stack hands underneath your forehead. Find an arm variation that supports you to reset. Settle with earth, be with your breath. Finish all the way through your next exhale. And when you're ready, rise up, tabletop. Place your hands underneath your shoulders, spread your fingers wide, walk your knees underneath your hips. And shoulders just over wrists, hips over knees. Your tucked toes or not, you choose. And deep intrinsic core here, push down into the ground through your hands, through your knees, and then lift your belly up towards the sky and hug your side waist in as you reach your tail back, crown forward, and then feel your back body, especially through the lower back below your diaphragm to your waistline. Can you inflate it towards the sky? Tuck your toes if they're not already, and hover your knees just off the ground. Okay, you're gonna stay with your breath and your knees are gonna stay hovered. I'm gonna switch directions so you can see. With hovered knees, you're gonna step your left leg out and step it back in. And you're gonna alternate side to side, 5 rounds each side. Hovered knees, tabletop, deep intrinsic core, breath turned on as you alternate side step extensions with hovered knees. Try and move at a pace that is both challenging and supportive. And the next time you balance out side to side 5 rounds, lower your knees, turn your toenails down, lower onto your forearms. Take a few rounds of breath, reach your pelvic floor wide back behind you. Rest here, 1 full breath. Walk your hands to rise up. Standing knees. So in standing knees, having a blanket underneath your knees is always a nice option. So if you'd like, you can find that. And then you're gonna have a block handy also. So standing knees without hip width apart. And again, toes tucked or not, it just depends on what feels natural. Remember, intrinsic, natural, or innate, like what feels intuitive. And whatever the case, tuck toes or not, knees about hip width neutral, meaning under ASIS joints. So those bony little protrusions of the front of your pelvis or your hips, line up your knees underneath there. And then with your block, you're gonna bring it in, hands on the short end of your block, and hug your elbows in towards your rib cage and squeeze the block. And so it turns on some upper body, but we want our lower body to be turned on too, that intrinsic network coming together. So make your legs strong as you root through your foundation and deep intrinsic core. Plug your navel back and hug your side waistline in. And then also, can you fill through your lower back, like below your diaphragm to your waistline, that section of your back body? Can you plump it back behind you? Okay, now that's hard work just in itself, squeezing the block, deep intrinsic core turned on. Feel your breath even and steady. And as you take an inhale here, on your exhale, I want you to push out while squeezing the block and twist to your left. Inhale, come back all the way, elbows bent. Exhale, push, twist, other side. Inhale, unwind, and squeeze elbows back. Exhale, extend, twist. Inhale, unwind, back. And you maintain deep intrinsic core and squeeze of the block throughout. And a way to up this would be doing this with a weight. If you have one, you can always try it. And we're gonna do 1 more round each side. All right, balance it out side to side. Notice, and as you let things move down, descend through your legs down to the ground, can you lift up through your crown and soften, kind of plump yourself core to periphery here. 1 breath. All right, make your way back down to tabletop. And now I want you to use both blocks or one, but hopefully you have two because it's just a little bit better. So with 2 blocks, you're gonna stack them nice and neat, like so. And this is gonna be our seat for Malasana. So as you're ready, you'll carefully transition. So as you come up onto your knees, see if you can really use deep intrinsic core to plant one leg down and step and rise up for the other. And then once you have that, you're gonna come in front of your blocks, widen your feet wider than neutral hip, so about wide hip width or more, toes slightly turned out, and then turn deep intrinsic core on as you carefully sit, and you can look to lower your sits bones and the base of your pelvic bowl onto your blocks here. So toes turned out wide. Find a couple of breaths to settle in, widen your knees, feel your feet strong. And you can always bring your hands somewhere that feels good, maybe even in towards the very center of your gravity, deep intrinsic core, right below heart, above belly, solar plexus area. And we're gonna do a few pulses of squat to stand. So what I want you to do first is root through the sits bones through the back of your pelvic bowl, wide, and then turn the front of your pelvis forward so your pubic bone kind of spills towards the ground slightly. And so that the center of your pubic bone and in between your pubic bone and your sits bones is facing directly towards your blocks. And then float your crown just over that center place of base of pelvic bowl. Okay, keep your feet engaged. Feel your breath. Even and steady, inhale and exhale. And on your exhale, you're gonna rise up. And on your inhale, you're gonna take a seat. Exhale, rise, maybe arms reach out. Inhale, back through center. And several rounds while you maintain awareness through core, through center, and let that awareness support your whole intrinsic network. Essential core to support everything else in function. Connected with breath. Could be an exhale out the mouth as you stand, in through the nose as you sit. Two more rounds. Strong earth as you rise up. Strong core as you sit down. All right, come to standing. Heel toe your feet back together. And you can push your blocks off to the side and blanket off to the side. And take a Tadasana with your feet neutral, hip width. So again, your heels, ankles line up just underneath the bony ASIS joints of your hips right here. And then root through your heels and root through the balls of your feet. And so as the circles of your heels root down, turn on deep intrinsic core and maintain that to bring a little bit more weight into your toes. Big toe mound, like the base of your toes, through the ball of your foot, big toe mound to pinky toe mound. And so nice and weighted here, bend your knees slightly, like a really high chair. Turn on deep intrinsic core. Plunge your belly back. Hug your ASIS joints side waist in towards midline. And then can you inflate your lower back segment below your diaphragm all the way to your waistline, kind of filling it back behind you. Bring your arms overhead. And you can stay here, or you might find the folds of your elbows for your hand, or actually bend elbows and just cup your hands over the knobs of your elbows. And can you find that space of your perineum between your pubic bone and your back of your sits bones, the space in between right towards the floor, and your crown floating just above that same space. This is big work here. Stay with your breath, and I want you to sit back even more. Reach your sits bones back and turn your crown forward. Like sitting into a chair, press down through your feet. You can even widen your feet if you need. Wade in through the balls of your feet. Drape your belly over your thighs and let your elbows kind of hover and tuck in with your knees if you can, or close to. And now you can find your hands in the creases of your forearms, of your elbows, to dangle. And I want you to hang. You're really reaching sits bones back. Bend through your knees. Keep a bend through your knees. As you wade in through the balls of your feet, lift your sits bones up. Not straight legs, but a deep hinge. Fold at the hips. And drape your torso over your legs, slight bent knees or generous bent knees. Take another breath or so to kind of let go through your upper spinal area. And then as you reach down into your feet, strong core, come up the way you, get up the way you got here. So bend your knees, sit your bum back like chair, sweep your elbows over, frame your ears with your biceps, and slowly come up to standing. And release. Soften, full round of breath. Maybe a little one of these, side to side, a sense of letting go, softening. All right, make your way back, center, Tadasana, mountain pose, and find some strength through your feet. Root down or ground down through your feet. Heels and balls of feet, distributed weight evenly, and deep intrinsic core. Turn on. Belly button turns up and in. Side waist from these bony hip points, kind of hug centric, and then fill through the low portion of your torso, like the kidney space or below diaphragm to waistline. Can you fill it back? And that is good intrinsic core to support your whole as you lift up through your crown. Maintain it, earth, ground, core, aware, and bring your arms out to the side as you lift crown. Now sweep your hands at your low back, maybe stacked palms at sacrum, maybe forearms, and you can always take prayer hands behind you if you like. So whatever the case, reintegrate ground, feet, and intrinsic core. Fill into your back body, like pushing your hands or your forearms away. And while you do that, widen your shoulders away from your ears, lengthen up through your crown. Keep your breath moving and take a few really slow turns of your head, your gaze, left to right. Keep your breath moving, and you might sweep down, chin to chest, and half circle side to side with your neck. And make your way back through center, little shoulder opening to rinse out some of the stuff that we can hold in there. Okay, so let's come back to some work through core and pelvic floor. And I think what's next is let's do what I like to call lunge blanket slides. So if you have a wall, that will be best, and a blanket. So I'm going to move my mat so I have some floor space, and I'll show you here. The blanket helps to slide the back lunge leg, And so what you'll do is find a wall, or like if you have a broom and you don't have a wall, you could use a broom or a stick to kind of hold at your sticky mat and have some space behind your mat to work with. So I'm going to use the wall here, and my hands are shoulder width apart, and I'm standing in Tadasana, and then I'm going to reach my right foot back to the blanket here. So then I turn on deep intrinsic core, and I slowly slide my right leg back for lunge as I bend my left knee just over my ankle. And the key here is to really root through your standing heel, left ankle and foot really engage to root down as you rise up and pull your right leg forward. So let's connect it with breath. On the inhale, lunge back, slide. Exhale, root through your standing left heel as you rise up. And I want you to find about 10 or so more rounds and really work from a place of deep intrinsic core and earth. So use your left standing leg to root into as you rise back up with strength. And a couple more rounds to make your 10. Take it at your pace that brings balance today. So again, if you're a fast-paced person normally, slow it down. If you're a slow-paced person, maybe speed it up. And then once you finish, second side, and about 12 or so rounds second side, or whatever feels balanced. Get yourself set, and as you're ready, find second side. Inhale the sweet back lunge. Exhale, root down, rise up. And that intrinsic network of your whole body is being fueled by pranic breath and the support of your center. Find your balance side to side, and once you're complete, you can make your way back to your mat. All right, take a quick drink of water if you need. And come back to your malasana setup. So stacked blocks and a way of finding a supportive, strong center to lower yourself down onto your blocks. So gather strength, earth to core, and slowly lower down onto your blocks. From here, wide knees, keep your core strong, root down through your sits bones as you tilt your pubic bone forward and lift up through your crown right above that central pelvic bowl space. And then you might take a twist here and find your left hand at left thigh, leverage your right arm inside of your right leg. Hand can come to the ground or not, maybe fingertips. Just open yourself here. And really, while you open, it's important to maintain that deep intrinsic core turned on. So good balanced action. And then second side. And from here, you're going to carefully lean forward and make your way back down to a seat posture. And seated posture into Baddha Konasana, bound angle. A blanket fold underneath your sits bones can be really nice and supportive. So if you want to find a little lift under your sits bones, spread your bum wide and let that forward tilt of your pelvis kind of melt towards the floor. And then soles of the feet together. And I want you to really bring in the bound angle. So the angle of our legs from ankles to knees to hips connected. We're already connected here, but can you connect and seal your soles of feet together active? And then reach your sits bones down and back, and the base of your pubic bone towards the floor, so that the space in between pubic bone and back sits bones is very centric towards earth. And then lift your crown just above that. Feel your breath here, and you can place your hands down at the side, fingertips, and you're gonna flutter your knees while maintaining this engagement through the soles of your feet and engagement of core with a really bright line from your seat up through your crown. And noticeable breath, several rounds. Flap your wings of your legs. And go ahead and stop. Take a moment, soften. And one more time, engage deep intrinsic core. And plunge your belly back, hug your side, waist in, and inflate through the back, low back area. And lift up. Keep that engagement as you twist to your right. You can walk your right hand back, maybe cross over with your arm. And can you maintain this way of connection through earth, through core, and up to sky, spacious around your heart, shoulders away from your ears. And nice breath. Maintain support and lift as you unwind. And second side, Baddha Konasana, twist. Make your way back through center. You can use your hands to assist your knees up and come off of your blanket, and we're going to make our way back to the floor. So we will use the wall if you have one available, and not right this second, but in a few moments. So first, back down to the ground, supine, and knees bent. Plant your feet about your neutral hip width, parallel inner edges of your feet. And you can go a little bit wider too if you want. And firm into your feet, and your arms can kind of rest wherever they want here. And you're gonna lift up into a bridge pose. Now, in your bridge pose, can you maintain some connection of center? So you're not totally splaying open through your front body, but maintaining that sort of knitting together as you push down into your feet and press down through the back of your head. And find your breath, even in steady. And on your inhale, you're gonna lower. And on your exhale, grow up. And keep moving and pulsing in this sort of larger range. Pulse a few rounds. And notice if your toes are lifting, can you keep them down? And even weight through your feet. And connection of center and breath. The next time you exhale, lift, pause, and you're gonna go more small range of movement to pulse your pelvis like an inch or two. Noticeable breath. Definitely cultivating some heat and strength through your glute muscles surrounding your pelvis, part of core. And then slowly lower down. Ooh, back of pelvis, sacrum with the earth. And I want you to find what feels good for you here. So it might be a widening of the feet, knees draw in, maybe a gentle windshield wiper, or maybe even a gentle knees hug towards chest, happy baby variation of some sort. Take a few rounds of breath, yoga as you like it, to bring balance. And as you're ready, come back towards the floor with your feet and find your wall. So at the wall, you're going to stay on your backs. And if you don't have a wall, then you can just do this like we just did with feet down on the ground like bridge. Otherwise, with a wall, you're going to find your 90-degree angle like you did earlier with your knees above your hips and your feet at the wall. So 90-degree angle of your legs, feet at the wall. And same sort of kind of neutral feet, parallel feet. And then bring your arms back and let your spine go long, chin towards your throat. Feel your breath even and steady. And deep intrinsic core turned on your exhale, lift through your hips, and on your inhale, lower. And you can add the arms here on the exhale, lift hips, maybe even heels off the wall, press your arms down. Inhale, heels at the wall, pelvis lowers, arms back. Exhale, lift, maybe heels come away. Inhale, lower, arms back. And can you maintain this sense of deep intrinsic core, holding space for your whole network, your whole body to participate? Move as one with breath. A few more rounds. Okay, next time you lift, I want you to pause, bring your heels off the ground. And if you have a shoulder stand in your practice, this is a nice transition into it. This is an option. But you can find even a deeper heart opening by walking your shoulder blades in underneath your heart and clasping your hands underneath. Option to stay here, or find your hands supporting the back of your pelvis, kind of through your outer kind of fleshy bum area. And then from here, maybe lift one leg and then the other. Walk your hands to that section of low back between diaphragm and waistline, and from core or from earth to core, deep intrinsic core turned on. See if you can lift up. Maybe some ankle rolls, maybe some scissor legs, widening of the legs. Stay with your breath. And then of course, if you have plow pose in your practice, I like a nice rounded spine, knees bent variation. Open through your back body. Feel your breath. And wherever you're at, mindful in your transition from core to move, you can lower yourself down. And you might stay at the wall for legs up the wall for a few minutes of Shavasana. You're welcome to. Otherwise, unfold into any other variation of your final rest Savasana as you like. And as you settle into your final rest pose, invite a sense of spaciousness from your deep intrinsic core to soften core to periphery and beyond, whole body, your whole essential network of you, alive with your natural breath. Let go of any controlled breath and just let your natural breath be. And you can continue your gentle practice of noticing what's alive, how it's moving, how you might continue to bring attention inward of center and expand, settle, earthly. With ease, notice where your attention is and draw your attention back into what matters most, to what is essential of life, of you, your center, with a fullness of breath. And mindful in your transition, make your way up to a comfortable seat. And in your comfortable seat, soft gaze or eyes closed, return to this place of earthliness through your seat, slight tilt forward of your pelvis, and the space right of center pelvic bowl with earth, and a lift from earth up through center, crown bright, hovering just over the center of your pelvic bowl. And balanced action of the space in between. As you support, can you also expand core to periphery, and if comfortable, to bring your hands at heart center, a way of acknowledging and honoring what matters most, what's essential of our everything is right here, always. Let's close with an Om, the top of your next inhale. Thank you.